This program brought to you by Racing Victoria, Off the Track Thoroughbreds, Horseware Australia, Bait Saddles, and Willinga Park.
Some of the greatest sporting moments this country has ever seen have happened on racetracks. Every year, thousands of thoroughbreds, they're bred, they race. Some, they finish as champions. They go to the breeding barns, have wonderful careers at stud. But what happens to those that don't win? Well, we're about to go on an equestrian journey like never before. Welcome to Jump Off. Okay, this is how it works. 5 of Australia's leading racehorse trainers will each team up with 5 professional Australian and Olympic show jumping riders. In this brand new series and competition, our 5 teams of trainer riders will offer a group of ex-racehorses the chance to jump off for $100,000, the richest Australian show jumping purse in recent history. Let's meet some of the teams. Darren Weir is paired with Beijing Olympian show jumper Peter McMahon.
2 of my best horses were both thoroughbreds.
Victorian trainer Patrick Payne, he has Jamie Kermond, current Australian champion, just back from Europe.
Oh, look at that, left canter straight away, Jesus.
The Caulfield-based Mick Price is teamed with David Cameron, 2-time Australian champion.
It's always interesting that first trip, you know, you think they're all going really good, and then you get to that first outing and then they're not going so good.
Oh.
Team Godolphin has James Cummings as trainer and the legendary Vicky Roycroft as the rider.
You know, as they say in racing, pedigree's not everything. The pressure's on, and I'd like to see some results.
This is the star. Some thoroughbreds are more trainable than others.
Our 5 teams of trainers and riders will be filmed for 4 months as they select the horses, train the horses, ride, and then compete the horses. It's going to get tough.
Oh, hold on!
Hey, better not fall off at the first fence.
You're tired. Not a great start.
We love these horses and we want them to have a good home.
We want to see them have a great life after racing.
Let's just check in with one of our teams, Hayes and Johnston. That's David Hayes and Russell Johnston.
Oh, Extra Zero is one of my all-time favourites.
If we've got to compete at 110, we want to be jumping 120 at home.
Yes.
And if we can get flying changes as well, we're in the money.
Bang. It's great to see him so happy. Never been in this environment before. I'm very impressed. What I saw today for the experience they've had, I reckon will be pretty hard to beat.
With the series final being televised at the state-of-the-art Bonio Park, the world's going to see that for a group of retired thoroughbreds, there is life after racing. Show jumping. And can Vicky Roycroft beat all of the other riders?
Well, boys, it's on for young and old, and may the best girl win.
It's a big day for Jump Off's Vicky Roycroft as Team Godolphin horses are arriving at her stables. Vicky Roycroft and Godolphin's James Cummings are going to be a very tough team to beat. The Roycroft name is akin to show jumping royalty here in Australia. Vicky is a 3-time Olympian and a 2-time Australian show jumping champion. Teaming with Vicky is Godolphin head trainer James Cummings, grandson of legendary trainer Bart Cummings. James is a powerhouse in his own right.
We like to believe that after racing and even during their racing, the horses deserve a really good life, and this is great that they've got something to look forward to after we've sort of said goodbye to them. I think I know what Vicky will be looking for, but look, I hope that she'll be happy with the horses we've picked.
Look, we're both after the same thing, as in it's got to be a sound horse, it's got to be a good type. That's the first things you look for. It's so hard to know what's in the mind. I mean, to be able to free jump them and just see what they do with their legs to see if they're going to have that technique for a start. Good type. Nice size, don't like them too big. Got 4 legs and a tail, so that's a real good start. Retaliation. Oh, maybe. This is the youngest one, I believe. This is a 4-year-old. My biggest deal is going to be when we get them over into the round yard to see if they can actually show a bit of form over the fences. Oh, this is In a Circle. Great name. In a Circle. Again, more the type I like for for the job. He's got a good shoulder, good strong hind quarter, great type. Whoa, 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 whoa. Might be a little spooky. As I say, at the end of the day, it's what's in their brain if they want to do it and if they're brave enough with being careful enough, because that's what you look for in a jumper. They've got to be brave enough to want to jump, but careful enough not to want to hit the fence. If they're too brave, they knock them down. If they're too careful, they get scared and they refuse.
Next horse up was Havana Cooler.
This is my favourite colour, liver chestnut. My best jumper ever was a thoroughbred.
And what an opportunity for her here with Apache. Comes in, takes off, all clear. There's our leader, 51.74. Great performance for Vicky Roycroft.
Apache, yeah, he was a thoroughbred. Best ever. Even now, I think he'd still be a very good horse. Like this, that was in the 80s. I bought him as a $500 off the tracker. He was in the top 10 in the World Cup final in Paris. And then our first outdoor show was the Rome 5-star Grand Prix, and he won that.
He really is a top horse.
Is there an Apache amongst Vicky's horses? Well, we'll have to wait and see, as she has plenty more work to do. After the break, we'll meet a superstar horse from the Mick Price stable.
Lincoln Rupee was pretty popular during his career.
For me to be able to get the chance to try a horse like that is pretty exciting.
But can Dave Cameron get him to jump?
A little more to the left, just in case he jumps left. Ooh, good boy.
This jump-off competition has begun with the aim of taking recently retired off-the-track thoroughbreds and turning them into show jumpers. So far, we've met Team Roycroft and Cummings, and selecting horses for them has started. Now it's time to meet our next competitors. Team Cameron Price. Dave Cameron is a two-time Australian show jumping champion. He's competed at the World Cup in Gatton, and he's a highly sought-after coach and trainer. Partnering Dave Cameron is high-profile Victorian trainer Mick Price. Mick's trained thousands of winners and some of the biggest Group 1s in the country. Over at the Price Horse Complex, Dave's keen to see some of the horses the Prices have selected.
It's a bit like an unveiling. It's pretty exciting.
Tassie always delivers nice packages.
Okay.
Caroline Price is a Racing Victoria acknowledged retrainer. She's also a very experienced show jumper and knows exactly what Dave's looking for.
I've grown up with racehorses. My father trained, so from when I can remember, I've been around racehorses, and my brother is actually now a jockey, and then I trained for a while. Obviously my husband's a racehorse trainer. I also show jump, which is my main passion. I've always loved the thoroughbred and rehomed a lot of them.
My input with show jumping, pretty close to zero. This is why we have experts like Caroline and Dave to do the job, and it's in their hands. It's specific to show jumping, and if they've got a bit of a natural affinity to it and Dave is happy with them and Caroline's happy with them, then that's the selection criteria.
Dave's a rider who knows his horses. It's also helped him get into show business.
I just fell into a little bit of stunt work and a little bit of movie and TV work. I started with a Channel 7 TV show called Wild Boys, which we did, which was a fantastic show, and it was all bushrangers and shooting guns and stuff like that, and it was a lot of fun. Pirates of the Caribbean was probably the biggest film I've done, and it was a lot of fun to work on. We did quite an elaborate stunt that's in the beginning of the movie where Johnny Depp and his band of pirates steal a bank. There's 12 horses all hooked together, and they drag the bank around the streets. Normally when I ride a horse on its own. I don't ride a horse that's part of a 12-horse team. So that in itself was really challenging, and there was a lot of behind-the-scenes prep that went into it. Looking forward to today.
Well, so far I think we've found some really nice ones. They look good and they're great types.
What I want is horses that have good natural balance. I don't want horses that are too big. I think they might take a little bit too long to produce.
This is Lincoln Rupee, the star.
How old is he?
I
know a lot about him, but how old is he?
Yeah, he's got a 9 on his shoulder, so he's 8.
8.
Yes.
Lincoln Rupee won 11 of his 29 starts and earned his connections more than $4 million. After being gelded, he streaked through the autumn of 2014, winning 3 of the country's best sprint races in succession: the Oakley Plate, Newmarket Handicap and the TJ Smith Stakes. Lincoln Rupee won 2 more majors after that, but injuries started to catch up with him towards the end of his career. And trainer Mick Price pulled the pin after he struggled to beat just 2 runners home at Caulfield in October 2017.
Lincoln Rupee was pretty popular during his career.
For me to be able to get the chance to try a horse like that is pretty exciting.
He was a very good racehorse and won, I think it was over $4 million.
I'm very fortunate. We've got a very good team with Mick being my trainer. Carol and his wife has a great interest in show jumping. That's going to help.
My girls have grown up with it, so it's not all they know, but it's a really wonderful part of what they do. Our horses are beautifully looked after, but you go to those shows and the girls, the money they spend on rugs and boots, and I know my girls at home, my daughters and Caroline, they have become so attached to some of those horses.
He's got a real presence about him, doesn't he, Caroline?
Yeah.
Lincoln Rupee's only been off the track for 2 months, so today is going to be a steep learning curve.
It's like a bit of racing royalty.
There you go. The girth may need doing up another hole. I'll check it this side for you.
What's his stable name?
We used to call him Lincoln.
Lincoln, yeah, right. Come, mate. Oh boy. Hey, boy.
I'm an acknowledged retrainer along with quite a few others. Our aim is to take the horses, do a basic education on them so that it makes it easier for the next person to take them on and continue their career.
Ooh, 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 mate. Too rot, too rot, too rot, too rot. He's nice and balanced, Caroline.
Yeah, he seems to. He's got a nice trot.
No, nice uphill.
Yeah.
He still looks at a little bit like he's very high with his head carriage, a bit tight in his neck, but you know, we know he's had no further training after being on the track, so you know, that's expected.
The process at our place, any new horse, we put them in the round yard and give them a bit of a lunge. They're not used to stirrups flapping around their belly and everything, so we give them a lunge with the stirrups flapping around to see what they do. He learnt and coped well.
Not too bad, eh? Too right, too right. Well, he doesn't understand yet how to use his body in the way that we're asking him, does he?
No.
Oh boy, too right, too right, too right, too right. Oh boy.
At the same time, he's always watchful of the pole.
Yeah, I really like that he put his head down there and had a good look. Yeah, tough. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. So, Carol, I'm happy that he can canter both ways. You know, that's a big thing in itself. Yeah, we're not going to expect a horse like him who's done as much racing as he does to come out today and be perfect, you know. And this is what it's like when you're trying ones off the track. So you've got to look for the things that you want to see, and one thing is that they don't knock the jump down and end up on the other side. You'll have to do a lot wrong for me not to take this one.
I like to lead them down just as a bit of confidence for them and guide them. You think at the races they're always led around by a strapper in the mounting yard, and a lot of them are led to the barriers by the clerk of the course horse. So just to give them confidence, and as a safety thing for Dave, I led him around to give him a look.
Good boy, good boy.
He first saw the pole and went backwards. He thought it was very foreign, but what I liked about Dave, he was firm with him but encouraging.
A little more to the left just in case he jumps left.
In the end, the horse just trusted him. He went over it quickly, but he went over it, so it was a good sign.
You know, even though he wants to be going at a bit of pace, he feels pretty good. He holds the canter not too bad. And the stuff about spooking the poles and that, it's a bit irrelevant to whether he's a good jumper or not, you know. And I think it's really important at this stage, a horse like this, not to scare him. You know, we saw with the free jump that he looks careful, he wants to do the right thing. So we really want to just get him comfortable about the whole thing.
Yeah.
The actual jump part, you know, I think is going to come naturally enough to him. It's just all the rest of the education and the steering, the balance. Really natural with his jump in terms of he didn't want to touch the poles. A little bit tense. I think that could hold him back in his progression, and particularly the fast track we need for jump off. But look, I'd love to have a horse in my stables that I can say has won almost $5 million in the racetrack. I reckon I've seen enough.
Yep, that's great.
Oh, man.
I think he's got a good attitude.
He's got a great attitude, yeah. And I think he's going to be one. Like if you did a bit with him, he's going to get better and better.
Well, will the superstar of the track with a love heart on his forehead convince Dave to give him a place in his jump-off team? Up next, Darren Weir's team members from Queensland, Pete and Michelle McMahon. They start their hunt for retired racehorses.
He definitely goes to the top of the leaderboard, this guy.
And we head to the Hayes Dynasty's Lindsay Park, where it's time for David Hayes' partner Russell Johnston to shine. But it's not a great start.
As soon as I got on him, I could feel something wasn't right.
All of our feed is top quality feed, so we use the best ingredients that we can, and we're constantly looking at the latest science to get the best value and the best for the horse. Dave Cameron is one of CopRice's sponsored riders, and he's a terrific ambassador for the brand. He really puts the message across for how to feed horses, how to look after horses, and horse welfare.
So far, Godolphin's James Cummings and Vicky Roycroft have started their search.
This is my favourite colour, liver chestnut. My best jumper ever was a thoroughbred.
And Lankan Rupee has impressed Team Cameron Price.
You'll have to do a lot wrong for me not to take this one.
Beginning their journey is our next pair, Team McMahon-Weir. This formidable team are going to be tough competition. Peter McMahon is a pre-breaker of racehorses, but also has an accomplished show jumping career, with highlights including the World Equestrian Games, and he was a member of the 2008 Beijing Olympic show jumping team. With a Melbourne Cup to his name and almost 500 winners last season, Darren Weir should be a handy asset for Peter McMahon with plenty of superstars in his stable.
What my job is now is to get in touch with Darren and his team, try and find some horses that's going to be suitable, some that have finished racing.
The McMahons jump straight onto the phone to Lee Purchase, Darren Weir's #1 horse wrangler.
Have you had any of the ones that have steeplechased or anything like that retire that that have had a nice big jump, like over jumped?
Got to take care of our $1 million jumper that we retired last year, and we're trying to get him. But the girl that's got him, I don't think she wants to.
We like them really sharp, really quirky. If they buck a little bit, like normally ones that are like that are quite athletic.
There's types, definitely, but you can pick your types, there's your show types, there's your venting, show jumping, holocross. The horses have done one career and then switched over to another discipline, so it doesn't really matter, they're still nice types.
I'm actually really keen to get down to Darren Weir's and pick the eyes out of him, and I'm hoping something's I'm saying to Pete, do we get to keep any of these?
Just to team up with Darren Weir and know his success rate on the track, and the amount of horses that he has, and know that he doesn't just do flat racing, he also puts horses over the jumps. That might be a little bit of a better incentive for us.
We certainly like them to have a life after racing. So if we retire a horse here, we have what we call it the sack paddock, but it's just for horses that have been retired, and they can stay there for as long as Lee takes to find them a home. And we think that's really important because we love horses to have a life after racing.
In show jumping itself, once you get that good horse, you're always addicted. You're always looking for your next good horse. So hopefully, when we go to Melbourne, Darren Weir's got one there in the paddock or the stable there waiting for us, because there's no way known Darren or myself are going to let 100 grand go out the door, so we'll be looking for the best.
Our next team on the hunt for a $100,000 jumper is Team Johnston Hayes. Russell Johnston is no stranger to elite competition, having ridden at international level in World Cups and as a member of the 1996 Australian Olympic team in Atlanta. The Hayes dynasty is synonymous with racing success. David Hayes has trained almost 100 Group 1 winners, including the Melbourne Cup, Cox Plate, Caulfield Cup and Golden Slipper wins.
We normally, Lindsay Park, sell our horses with racing left in them, but then you'll get the occasional old veteran that goes right through. If they can go into show jumping homes, you know they're going to be wonderfully cared for.
David's stables at Lindsay Park are 150 kilometres north of Melbourne. His team member and show jumping rider Russell Johnston has made the journey today to check out some of his selections.
This is such a well set up property.
Yeah.
Horse heaven, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kerry Standish, the new owner of these Hayes horses, has done a little jumps training at her property just down the road. But nothing like what Russell is going to need to win the competition.
I've never had so many grooms.
First up for Russ is Corby Abbey. But it's fair to say he's having a rough day.
Feeling a little hoppy there, is he?
He's looking like he's working out of it, but just it's a bit concerning that he started off like that. I don't think we'll push him today.
Well, the feel of that, it's like on the inside of his
he's
year 4.
Definitely slow.
Yeah, because he's not hopping going to the left. Yeah, well, he's a bit tender. I reckon it's on the inside there.
So I don't think there's a stone or anything.
Okay. We checked him out. It wasn't in the foot, but it was pretty obvious he had a splint developing.
Luckily, the farrier and vet at Lindsay Park are on hand and he's attended to on the spot. Next horse up is Jabel.
So has this guy done a little bit more than the other bloke?
He's had a lot more basic training, but he hasn't been out and competed.
Okay. Now, this guy was a nice, big, athletic type. He looked like an athlete, and I was quite excited to get on and give this guy a nice test.
He'll learn to step over these poles rather than, there we go. Well, he wants to be careful. That's a very good sign. Look, we'll see what he does when he gets over the bigger fences and how clever he is. So far, he's learning. He's having a learning experience.
It's all right, just pop it up again. Crucial bit of equipment when we try these horses is the video camera, because sometimes as a rider they can give you a pretty good feeling, and then when you see their actual technique it can be a bit disappointing. He's a very athletic character. He was initially, I felt when we were going through the grids and start to jump, a little bit slow with his front end. I'll be interested to have a look at the video and analyse it afterwards.
That was better.
Hey!
Oh!
Hey!
I think he wants to do the next one as well.
We said that felt all right.
But Russ won't make a decision until he sees the video. Third horse from owner Kerry is Packing Empire.
He looks nice.
He sure does. Our next horse also extremely well presented. I mean, these are a real credit to the lady that owned them. They are in great shape. And again, lovely type, lovely type.
Yeah, he's definitely a thinker. The other one was a bit more free-flowing and forward.
The little grid that we set up works really well. It just gives us an idea of their ability to make decisions, to figure things out. And I don't need to jump over huge fences. You can get a good feeling for a horse and get to understand his attitude. All right, that'll do.
And now for the verdict.
Oh, yeah, he's slow with his front end. Not so good. After the first day at Hayes, I thought, I'm in trouble here. It was hot, we'd had a big day, and we were going home with nothing.
Next up, the McMahons head to Melbourne to meet Darren Weir.
All these horses that we've picked have got really good attitude, so I would say that'd be a good thing.
Oh, wow.
Spades. And underneath there is another Bates.
There are all pretty close contact.
You know, this looks a lot like our museum at our office.
Is it? Well, I got my Olympic saddle out the back. I had the early ones too that had the fixed panel.
Yes. Oh yeah. The foam panels.
Yeah, one of the fixed panels was the one that I rode at the Atlanta Games in.
Oh wow. It's a testament to the longevity of Bates then.
Darren Weir Racing is located in Ballarat, Victoria. Today they've got horses running right across the country. With a busy race day schedule, Darren still makes time to meet with the McMahons who've travelled down from Queensland, and they've got a plan.
Well, we thought we'd just go through the stables, and the ones that we liked, we go you, and you. Where's those four that raced on Saturday?
All these horses that we've picked have got really good attitude, so I would say that'd be a good thing.
We just asked Lee and thought you maybe want them just a little bit lower so they just didn't have so much airtime.
Yeah.
But she goes, no, he likes them quirky. And we thought, what about those ones that are really airy?
Obviously with the hurdles, you want them to sort of skip through a bit. You know, you don't want them in the air too much, but obviously when they're steeplechasers, they've got to be able to jump a bit. There's 5 horses. A couple of them are unraced. 2 of them race very well. There was a horse called Waxing who come from Europe. He won a staying race at Moonee Valley for us, and then he won his first hurdle start, and then unfortunately he had a little trouble with his wind. It certainly doesn't affect him for show jumping and that sort of thing.
Just knowing that they jump is, that's something, because there's plenty out there that, you go to try them as jumpers and you won't even get over a rail on the ground sometimes.
They've all jumped.
Yep.
They've all jumped the logs out here, but I'm not sure whether they're the right ones, but they seem to move well and that sort of stuff. But there's a couple there that we're happy enough. There's one of them's a Testarossa gelding that's done quite a bit of show jumping, and he looked to be not bad at it from my point of view. But but the one we're really keen about is Got to Take Care. He was a champion jumper there for 2 or 3 years in a row, champion hurdler. He was a great horse for our stable. He ended up winning over 20 races, over $1 million in prize money. He was a champion hurdler probably 2 or 3 years back. He won every good hurdle race you can win. I think he won 3 Brendan Dresslers. I'm really looking forward to see what you think of him, because he's got the right attitude and he seems to jump well.
We should do him first, because if he's good.
Yeah, we'll just swipe the rest.
I guess you want a good jumper for a start, I guess, but then I know Got to Take Care is a great jumper. He was a good, careful jumper from day one. He very rarely made a mistake.
Well, Got to Take Care. He's a superstar. He's been a superstar of our stable for his very long career. They're mad if they don't love him.
Turns out that Got to Take Care, or Woody, as he's known in the stables, was right at home with Pete on his back.
That was cool.
Oh yeah, I like this one. I like this one.
I was lucky enough to be involved with Woody, Got to Take Care. He was down in Warrnambool doing a lot of pre-training. So enjoyed him from 2012 to 2015 when he retired, and then I was asked if I'd like to give him a home, and you can't say no to an animal like that. He's just beautiful. He's just a quirky horse. He's a beautiful nature. He tries so hard as a racehorse, and he's just the personality in the stable, both when he was racing and after racing. He's just a gorgeous animal to be around.
He definitely goes to the top of the leaderboard, this guy. He's got great canter, sound, gets to the jump, just you can feel his shoulder come up.
I was excited to see, somebody of Peter's calibre get on him, because who wouldn't want a rider like that riding your horse? And yeah, once he got out there and cantered off, the smile on Pete's face just made it for me. Like, I loved the horse, obviously, and to see him smiling riding the horse, it just made it all worth it.
Do you know how many top jumpers come from top racehorses? They're so athletic, they naturally got it. Doesn't matter what they do.
Woody's like, woohoo, let's go.
Got to Take Care. We don't know the horse from Barrasoap, but obviously got a big rap on him. He's been an exceptional racehorse, and when you see him as a type, you just know, he's got a good eye. And his demeanour about him, he knows obviously he's been a good horse, and when we took him out to the jumps, he has a very good technique, had a good reaction, and right now he's probably my top pick.
He's everything that you want in a jumper, so he ticks the boxes for me. What about you? You're on the ground. You've always got a lot to say, but you're not saying anything, so.
He's really nice.
Yep.
Just a shame we don't get to keep him. He's really cool. Woody's a legend. Woody knows he's a legend.
After the break, Vicky's horses are off the truck and she's ready to get started.
I watched them come off the truck and it was pleasing to see that they all came off and were quiet and happy and chilled about everything, whereas often with a lot of ex-race horses they can be pretty stressed because they think they're at the races and they're going to have to gallop and atmosphere and yada yada. All these guys came off pretty chilled.
One thing that was very clear is that thoroughbreds are all very different. Each individual has a character and has their own traits and skills, and they're a magnificent animal, but with lots of character and challenge for those who are riding them. Show jumping itself is just huge, and it's one of those things, unless you actually see it on TV, and I've only ever seen it on TV at its top end, it's just phenomenal just how popular it is globally and how highly skilled it is. And what it brings to the equestrian world. I think one thing that the show will do though is just illustrate just how skilled it is and how difficult it is and what a great challenge it is and what great sportsmen and women who are the show jumpers, but also the skills of the thoroughbred and the horses is just phenomenal. We're Hayes, James Cummins from Godolphin, Payne and Price.
Hug, he needs a hug.
Some real high profile names. Putting their reputations on the line, maybe. We in racing understand our responsibility to the core of our sport, which is the horse, and ensuring that the welfare of that animal is protected before, during and after racing.
So I've trained horses for 28 years and I've always had a horse transport business. We try to help with all these rehabilitation horses because me being a trainer, I sort of know how it all works. Obviously my tip for the jump off will be Vicky Roycroft because she's a local and I know James and look, he does a good job and I'm hoping that they win jump off.
With all the other team selections in full swing, up in Mount White in New South Wales, Vicky's about to put her horses to the test.
First horse we looked at was a horse called Lassitude. Spooky, very reluctant to come in even into the round yard, which is understandable, but once you sort of say, look, it's okay, they should be okay about it. Good boy. Beautiful type, you know, I can't complain about that aspect. But that guy, when we lunged him, he just didn't figure it out. Not a great start. When he jumped, he just didn't. He just sort of kept clunking, kept clunking. So he got sort of crossed off the list fairly quickly. It's a bloody shame, you know, because he's one of my favourite types, but I don't think he's got a lot of talent for what we're looking for, not at this stage.
Next up was a horse with a very successful race career.
Havana Cool, he came through the gate, you know, very, very nicely. I watched them pretty much, I watched them come off the truck, and it was pleasing to see that they all came off and were quiet and happy and chilled about everything, whereas often with a lot of ex-race horses they can be pretty stressed because they think they're at the races and they're going to have to gallop and atmosphere and yada yada. All these guys came off pretty chilled. And going into a new atmosphere, into a new part of the world and all that sort of stuff, they've all coped with that pretty well. So I watched that carefully because it's only a short time that I've got to, to assess these horses to see if they're going to do my job. This one's, he's showing a little more inclination to get in the air. He hasn't got a clue. He was an improvement on Lassitude, but because he seemed to learn quickly, he seemed to have quite a good attitude and learn a bit quicker, had a nice front end in that he was tucking his front legs up. Didn't do much behind now. I don't know whether he was a little weak behind or he might be carrying a small injury because he's the one who raced last week. So I suspect he might have something like that, but I like him in every other respect, so he's sort of on my to-keep list at the moment.
This one's Inner Circle, gelding, Australian.
Oh.
He is a 5.
Inner Circle is probably the most talented of the bunch. He's got a wonderful, he moves very well. As a thoroughbred, he's more like a warm blood. He's got big, slow action. I don't know what his racing record was, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was quite slow because he does everything quite big and slow. But for our game, it's nice. He was he jumped well up and he showed a back end, which you don't see so often with the thoroughbreds, which means he really throws his hind legs into the air when he jumps, which he didn't do all the time, but he did enough to think, yeah, you've got something. He showed a lot of power in his jump. But that's not the only factor we're looking for, or I'm looking for. I'm looking for the good attitude, the trainability, the carefulness, as well as as being brave. He could be a little too much on the brave side rather than the careful side.
Looks like Vicky's found a horse she wants. After the break, the search continues for Team McMahon Weir with one horse already selected.
Oh. He will probably need a lot of work.
The good part about thoroughbreds for me is their willingness. There's so many uses for thoroughbreds. They're, you've only got to look at them in polo and polo cross. For us in eventing, they're perfect. But then show jumping, you've only got to look at results. The jump off series was exciting to go to, was exciting to watch. Racing Victoria do a lot with off the track program, which means that a lot of trainers basically get in contact with them. If you're after your next thoroughbred, make sure you get in touch with the off the track program via their website.
Back at Darren Weir Racing, Lee Purchase has found a couple more horses for the McMahons to look at. They need 3 to take back to Queensland.
This is Waxing. He was very good for us on the track, and he's now retired, and his new owners kindly bought him in.
Has he had a pop before?
Yes.
Yep.
He's only little, but he's got a...
That's the pinger.
Yeah. Waxing's he's an older gelding. I just thought he'd be perfect for this because he's had a bit of education over the jumps. He can jump well. He's a little horse, but he's got a lot there. But he is still in his letting down stages of being off the track. So he's probably still got that racehorse in him still.
His race name is Waxing. His stable name is Brazil. It took me a while to kind of click on to how the race name and the stable name came about.
He's a good boy. Yeah, he's a good boy.
Seeing Pete compete in the Olympics at Beijing was, awe-inspiring for me. So being able to have them train my horse would be an absolute, honour, really.
What do you feel?
Look, he feels fine. He's brave. He's a neat little jumper.
Yeah.
I'd just like to see him go down through one of these races, just see how big his stride is.
Yeah. He's nice and light though, Pete. Changed rein after this one. Oh yeah, he's got plenty of stride there.
Yeah.
He will probably need a lot of work. Do you know what I mean? He's a little bit, he's letting down, even though he's naturally a good jumper. I just feel that a lot of time will have to go into him just to get him in competition mode, especially what we want him for at the end of the day. I think long term, he'll be a really nice product, but I think when we're a little bit squeezed for time, we might sit him aside at this stage.
He's a cute horse, cute jumper. Where he would fit would be to a nice pony club kid, but he's not a horse that is going to go and be a real competitive horse for what we want in 5 months' time. So I want that horse that's got a bit more scope and a bit more oomph about him. So yeah, he's not on my list.
And over at Lindsay Park, David Hayes and bloodstock manager Jason Timperley have found another candidate, and Russell Johnston is back to try him out. Could this be their first jump-off horse?
I need a horse that's got a good attitude, because in the competitions there's atmosphere with the crowds in close, all that sort of thing, and a general athleticism. But most importantly, they've got to have a desire to not touch a rail, and that's an absolute gift that they're born with.
He's a horse that's been in the paddock for a couple of years now, so he's going to be a little bit green, so he'll be a challenge for you.
Well, he might be one that we might give it a little lunge before I hop on if he hasn't had any work for a while.
I think that's wise.
My cowboy days are about finished. I was actually getting a bit worried about this grey horse. I was thinking I might have been getting a bit set up here, that they were going to see what this show jumping rider could do, because they were all a bit interested to make sure they saw this guy be jumped, and I'm thinking, we better make sure I stay on top of this horse today.
I used to love it when all the staff say, I want to see this one. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go and give this guy a quick lunge because he hasn't been ridden for 2 or 3 years. So this could be a little bit interesting. The thing about these guys, they're used to having jockeys that not having a leg. And when I use my motivator, I'm going to use it where I want my leg to be, or pretty close, and get him to understand a bit the leg again.
Most people call them whips, I call them motivators because I need them to motivate this horse to listen to my leg.
Pretty good so far.
Yeah, good on his feet.
Yep. Good time to hop on.
Yeah, absolutely. Now just walk behind him like we were on the lunge. Good boy. Good boy. Don't watch, stay out of the kicking zone. Good boy. Okay, I'm just going to trot him on, so be careful as he comes around. Just hold your whip up a little bit in your right hand, so when I ask him to canter, you can push him on a bit, yep? Hang on.
So this guy actually went a lot better than I thought he was going to go. You know, he really came around quite quickly. So, but again, you know, he's been sitting in the paddock for a while and steering's a bit of an issue. So to actually get him up into the yard, I needed a leader for him. So we got a leader for him and he went up there quite well.
Yeah, and now go left over the purple. Wait for me. All right, away you go. Good fella. It's all completely new to him.
For what we need in this competition, he's just not going to do it. So David Hayes and Russell Johnston, they're without a horse for the moment. The others, they're making pretty good progress. You've got to remember that not all of the retired racehorses will become show jumpers, but there's plenty of other options for these brilliant creatures. You're watching Jump Off. Plenty more to come. This series wraps up to a spectacular night of show jumping at Boneo Park, where our 5 teams jumped 2 horses each for a $100,000 prize.
What a fantastic exhibition.
But to get to the final isn't going to be easy.
Hold on! Good start.
You do. You just got to give him a pat and put his rug on and give him a feed.
Oh, long one.
Oh, the double though. Oh, the double!
Right, f your dogs off. Get off the arena. Go and tie them up.
Better not fall off at the first fence.
What is it? Team Kermond Payne? Feeling it.
Hard to soar like an eagle when you're surrounded by turkeys.
What a wonderful job that he has done with this horse, and it's so exciting to see his future in a sport other than racing.